We are here to talk about the Rapid 3 intraoral scanner for the 8i. And so we're going to show the features, how simple it is, um, you know, different scanning ways to scan. And so with that being said, this is the new Rapid 3. So I have it right here. And very slim, sleek, comes with a nice case. And inside the case, it comes with four scanning tips, three normal size, and one smaller size. Um, so here's some of the little features of it. It has autoclavable tip 100 times. It's heated, and so for anti-fog. And then you have the two different size tips. And then it does have a very nice remote control feature. And then even the best thing about this scanner is that if you look at the top of the screen there, it really only has the one C connection. It's just this one cord right into the laptop, and that's it. No power cords, no multiple cords, and nice little cradle. So very, very streamlined and simplistic. Um, so, with the one cable, quick startup, you just download your software and link it to the scanner, and you are ready to scan. The scanner actually requires no calibration, which is very nice. And like I said, they got the two scan tip sizes, and the software is actually very, very easy to use, and we're going to go over that in just a second. One thing I want to tell you about before we get into scanning is it does have a grid. If you look at the square, you'll see the green, the yellow, and the red. And so this kind of gives you an idea of what that means. So when you see green, you know you have the scanner tip at the correct distance from the dentition. Um, and then, like I said, too, with the scanner tips 100 times. And so it has very, very user-friendly capabilities. It is linked into our AI cloud, so that now comes standard in the software. So you're able to use it either in the lab or in the clinic. And if you need designs, you can actually send them immediately from the scanner to our AI cloud design team. It does crowns at 15 microns. 20 to 25 microns is industry standard, so it's a little better than industry standard. Full arch cases at 40 microns. Um, and then it has a very, very nice dental health feature, which we'll look at real quick. You can customize it for your practice if you're a clinician, and then if you're a lab putting these in offices, you can also tell the clinician they can use this as a great tool for increasing their work. You can take high definition photos anytime throughout the process. You just stop, click the button, and take pictures of what you want to take pictures of. It has one click printing. So I'll show you where that is, but you take your scans, you orient them correctly when you're done. And then when you're back into the normal screen, you can actually close the model, put a base on it, and send it right to a printer. This printer shown here is our new 100 Pro, which I just got in my office, and I'm trying it out now. So also on there, you can actually do complex cases. You can import scan post libraries. It's not like you do in your exocad and 3Shape, but you actually, the clinician, or you can scan and you take the shapes of those and go ahead and match them so it's more precision when the laboratory gets it. You have your AI with it. So, of course, that'll basically make it to where you're not picking up your glove, your cheek, dual scans. So it scans pretty darn good right off the bat. You got to go back and forth a few times, just like any other scanner. You can check undercuts, you can do your margin line. So when you do your margin line, you can export it in different formats. And so for 3Shape and exocad, margins will come through as long as you're exporting it in the correct format. One nice feature also is that it will create a QR code. So in that dental health feature, if you wanted to, the clinician can scan the patient's mouth and then get all the information, written down for that patient, whether it be a crack in a tooth, you'll see with mine, plenty of recession. And then you can send that QR code to the patient's email. They can pull it up on their phone, look at the pictures, and talk it over and say, we need to address this, or it's not in the budget, whatever, you know how things go nowadays. And then you see on that little bottom screen down there, the 8i Dental Lab, and then you see the My Cloud. So the My Cloud is the design team. So it's a little thing up there, you collect the data, you make sure all the data is right, and then you can actually send it to the design team, and then you'll get your data back, and you can go to milling. Here's the cloud platform. That's a whole another story. But once you would send it to the cloud, then you'd want to know how to make sure it's all entered in the cloud correctly for designing. This is your intraoral examination report to the right, and we'll look over that in just a minute. These are your specs and whatnot you would need. How deep the scanner depth of field of view is 15 millimeters. The micron accuracy, it gives you an estimate of how fast you can do, single arch, full arch. I think when it says single arch, you're talking about a quadrant. And then on the left, you see basically your minimum or recommended requirements for your computer. Once again, I want to tell everybody that's the end of it for the little slideshow. We're actually going to go into the software. But I want to tell everybody you can find these videos and other videos we're doing currently on YouTube. You got to make sure you do the @ symbol first, but it's at Adite North America. And you can look up these videos if you want to watch it again and see any of the little things that I'm showing today. Also want to say, contact Erica if you want to know anything about the scanners. If you're interested in having, more demos or, purchasing scanners, this is Erica's email address. And thank you for that on the presentation. So I'm going to end the presentation and we're going to go into the scanner software. So let's end this. And so here's your software. So of course there's an icon on my laptop and I double clicked and I signed in so that it's, just for my office. And so it's a very simple platform. To add a patient, you just click that and then you can type the patient's name in. And so we can do webinar and male, female, patient's date of birth, wherever it may fall, and whatever you want to do on it. For labs, you can do your case pans, however you're doing it. For clinicians, you might want to get a little more detailed with it. And it scrolls down to, if they have any health issues, things like that, you can put that in there too. Then you confirm it, and it's going to show up over here. So here we go, webinar. So these cases are just little cases that have been scanned. We'll look at this one in a minute. This is the one I scanned in my mouth for my health report. But you just come over here. You can edit this at any time. You can trash them. But we're going to click on webinar. So as you see, there's no cases in here. So as you do cases, let's say patient webinar is getting crown number 3, but 2 months later, they're going to get crown number 14. So you just click on that patient and you keep adding a new case and it stays in the patient's portfolio. So in this case, we're going to start off with a case. So we're going to hit add case. And it's a basic order form. And so the main thing is you do have to enter the doctor. So in this case, we're going to do old Dr. Duff. And so you can also have it if you have multiple assistants. I always tell offices if they have multiple assistants, please put them in there because sometimes, we notice that some assistants have issues with certain things, and it helps as a training tool. So if we see their name pop up, we can say such and such isn't very good at bites, or scanning or whatever. But you can pick whatever it is. It'll come over on your order form. This is a new feature, due date, so they can actually go ahead and say, okay, we got 10 working days for a single crown. We'll select, that we would like it finished on this date, or they give us a couple extra days, which they don't do. No, I'm just kidding. But you can select that in there. It comes over on the order form, and that way the laboratory can see what day you really want it by and make a phone call or get it done by that date. In this case, I have a little study one. I'm going to scan my mouth also, but just so you can see it really work. But we're going to do a crown first, and so we're going to do this number 30. And so we just do restoration. If you have an implant crown, you do implant. If you just want to do arches, like for night guards and things like that, you can just do ortho, and it's just going to ask for the upper and lower arch. You don't have to fill any of this other stuff out. And then if you're going to do a health report, then you just click that and you just scan upper and lower, and it'll look for caries and tissue management and things like that. And then down here in the notes, you enter in what you want to enter in. If you have particular notes that you want to provide for the laboratory, then you would enter those in here. Or if you're scanning as a laboratory and you need to add the notes in that the doctor's asking for, you can add them there. But in this case, we're going to do a number 30. So now it highlights all these guys to the right, and you got crown, conic. If you want to do a bridge, you just make sure you do it and link it together, veneer, inlay, and then you come down here and select what shade. So it does offer all three shades. Not sure about the Ivoclar shade when, I guess it's just a blue line shade guide or something like that. But you got your normal ones, your classic and your master. And so if they want to want them to click that, there it is. It'll come over on your order form. And there's no implant on this one. And then you can choose your material. We're going to do um, some zirconia, multi-layered zirconia. And then I always tell all my offices to do the pre-op scan. In this case, I don't have one, but I will say the slightest bit of malocclusion can make a patient have TMJ and whatnot. And so just getting as much as you can of a pre-op scan helps us provide the patient with a restoration that is not going to hurt their, muscle and their movements and things like that. But once you do all that, you can then just hit scan. And this is just saying that we didn't enter anything in the remarks. You can hit don't show again, but now we're going to hit scan. Excuse me. So it's going to open up and ask us for our lower arch, upper arch, and our bite. So it's asking for the upper first, which is our opposing. And so, like I said, I got my handy dandy articulator here. So I just pick it up out the cradle and the check mark there, and you see the window show up. And if I push this button one time, a red square will show up. And when the red square is in the middle of the screen, that means it's scanning. So I'm going to push it one time, and there's the red square. And so now you can see our little grid of color. And I'm just kind of tickling these teeth. And I'll go, slow with it. Come on back. The one thing about scanning is just remember that once it loses where it is, you just got to go back and find a spot that it remembers. And then, you just come in here and wiggle it. I always do when I scan my mouth, I just call this the wiggle technique. And I come in there and just wiggle it back and forth to get, interproximal stuff and things like that. But this is the opposing. That's probably going to be good enough. Let me get the rest of this central here, and there we go. So I'm a single click, and it's now going to kind of mesh this data, okay? And so for me to go to the next screen without contaminating my keyboards and mouse and stuff like that, I can take this button and just hold it down. And now if I single click, I can go to whatever I want to. You can turn your AI on and off from this screen. This is for metal scanning. So if there's an encode or a metal crown and you might feel like you're going to have a hard time with it, you can actually do metal scanning. But in this case, we're going to go to our lower arch and our prep. And I'm just now going to hold the button down. And you can see up top, it is now switched to our lower arch. So I have this, place it in here, single click, got my red square, turn green because we're scanning. And now I'm going to come across and I'm going to go nice and smooth and slow so the scanner doesn't lose its position. It's not that it can't scan this fast. It can scan fast, but what you'll have is you're going to go faster than whatever data you're doing is going to show up on the screen, and it's going to lose its position because I can go really fast and scan, but it's just better policy to come in here and take your time, and you'll go faster that way than you will if you're trying to do it fast to start with. But you can see here, there we go. So now we have our working arch. Single click, it stops it. And so now I want to do my bite. And so I'm going to hold the button down again. And I always have to look at these things. I'm going to do this bite scan right here. Hold the button down. There it is. And so I'll give you a tidbit on intraoral scanners, whether you're a clinician or a lab talking to your doctors. I actually have a report that was done on my desktop on this computer. And there are a lot of settings on all the scanners, Trios, Infinity 4, this one, that when the patient bites, everybody has a different periodontal ligament. And so the softwares don't know this stuff. And so a lot of times, especially with like a Sirona scanner or whatnot, the bite will change up to 30 seconds after the doctor thinks they scanned it in. The software will then recorrelate and adjust it. They might look at the screen, hit OK, but it might readjust during the processing. So keep that in mind. The one thing I tell people, my offices, to do is when they put this in there, have the patient bite down gently and then smile. It's very hard to clench when you're smiling. So that's just a little trick that I read in this article, and it's good stuff. But a lot of times we'll see bites come through. And they say, "Oh, it didn't look like that," or they're overclosed. Those are all settings in Trios, in lab, things like that. But all we got to do here is just one click, and then it stops pretty much whenever it gets to where it needs. One click, and now we got our bite. So here's our case, and we're ready to review it and check it all out. So we can now go and process. And there we go. It's asking me to fix some stuff, but that was on the opposing, and I'm not all that worried about it. So it's going to process this data, and then we're done with this. And so we can now make sure our byte is correct. I ask all my accounts to make sure the byte's correct. Some do, some don't. Like I said, it's a good thing to have the assistants' names in there so we can kind of check behind them and things like that. Now, as far as this processing time, this is all on what computer you have, of how fast it'll go. So over here are some icons here that we can look at. So you have your color. You can smooth it. I don't ever do that. And so you can open it to fill holes. You see the gray, no gray. So it automatically takes whatever hidden data and fills those holes. And then you can set it from view. You can take the high definition camera, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then we can also, this is how we check our bite, occlusion distance. So we can click on it, and then you can open the bite. And so if you look at your little chart here, I always get these doctors to look at the chart, and 0 is this nice red color. And overclose is this dark red color, as you see on a couple of spots here. So that might be a little stick through. But once you start getting in here, they can also see how much room they've given us on the prep. So you see there's a couple of spots that look like they're roughly 1.7 to 1.5, but I like to tell the doctors, this is how you tell if you cut enough off. If you give me something that's yellow and red, we're not going to have a nice restoration. But something to pass along. So we're good. Everything looks great. Hit save. And now it's going to take us back to where we were. And so if I want to send this to the lab, or if I want to send this to get designed by the design team, you can just hit send. And here are your formats. You can just do a basic STL. You can do apply, which is for 3Shape, and you can do OBJ, which is for exocad. But you see this feature here, My Cloud, that goes to the design team, but it also has my lab on here. And so this would come to me. And so you can, have a drop by. These can be locked to go only in certain areas. So you can make it to only go to your laboratory. If you're a lab trying to put these in offices, you can make it where it only goes to you. So all those would be done by an engineer in-house at Adite, and they'll log on and they'll get you straightened out. So I'm not going to send this one, but here are some other features. So we'll look at that in just a minute. You can draw your margin, which we'll go through if you're in exocad or 3Shape format. I'm not sure if it goes through on the zip file. You can also take this straight to printing, and it's very simple. You just have your coordinate system here, and so you can roll it around, double both of the buttons on your mouse, moves it without rotating, and then you just go to the next step. And you can say a low base, middle base, or tall base. So it's going to process it in the middle base format. So there it is. It's a closed model. You can't select upper or not. We could have trimmed it maybe and had a little cleaner there. But there you go. You could go straight to print if you wanted to. And it just added it into my folder, which we'll look at in just a second. So here's your folder right here, open folder. So you got everything. So here's your PDF of your prescription. Has what we want. If we'd have put notes in here, I would have set it down here, patient name, webinar, birthday, all that good stuff. So that is your folder. It has all your scans in here. You have your OBJ, is 3D object, your ply file, OBJ, there you go, STL. So all your files are in this folder, which if you would have sent it, it would have gone along. So that is basically how you would scan for a crown. I'm going to show you quickly how you do the health report. So here's the health report here and the QR code. So here's my health report. These are generic. So you can easily come in here and edit and retype these things if you're a clinician to say what you want. But these were all high definition shots that I did of my mouth. And you see I have a lot of recession. And it gives little reports on those shots. And the software automatically will, kind of pick stuff up. Now I got plaque, but apparently I had my teeth cleaned yesterday, so I'm not sure if they're doing a good job. I don't know. But that's your health report. So you take this and you want to send it to your patient. I'm sorry, that's not the way to do it. And so what you do is you hit share, and it generates a QR code. And all you have to do is once it generates the QR code is copy the link and email it. And they can, like I said, pull it up on their email. So there's your QR code. So if we were to click or that with our phone or whatever, it would pull my whole report up. They can look at the scans of their mouth, the full arch scans, they can check everything out. So that is a very simple tool that you can use to get this in your doctor's offices, or if you're doctors, you can use it to get more production work, showing cracks and things like that. So the last thing I'm gonna do is, because we're gonna run short of time, I got about 4 minutes, and then we can answer some questions. Is we're gonna come over here to mine. We're gonna add a case, and then I just want y'all to see real quick. I'm gonna do it on ortho. I won't do a full scan, but I want you to see that it does scan in the mouth very well. It scans soft tissue extremely well. And there we go. So here we go. It wants the upper. So I'm gonna push the button. Soft tissue. Very good. So I'm gonna click this. And like I said, it's easy. I don't have to touch the screen or anything. Here's my scan. Quick scan. I could go back and try to get the green spots. That means there's a little less data there. But there's that scan. So I hold this button down, switch, and the AI wasn't even on. So now I can turn the AI on. And so now I can do this again and go to the next one and do the lower. Oh, my bad. I accidentally hit the button. Having a little trouble with the AI on. Actually, the AI is back off. And so there you go. Yeah, that I must have accidentally turned the AI off. And so we could do my bite. And that would be this one, I think. And there it goes. So just to show you a quadrant, didn't take but a couple of minutes. I made it right on time with 4 minutes. And so I'm not going to process this, but that's all you would have to do. So I'm going to minimize the screen, and I'm going to turn everything back over to Erica. And if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Duff. If anybody has questions, please type them in your chat box and we can do a little Q&A right now. while I'm waiting for any questions to come in, I just wanted to remind everybody that we will have the Rapid 3 at our booth in Chicago, and we will be doing demos as well as having some promotions. So please, if you're attending Chicago, stop by, check us out. We are booth E26. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys go to the chat and type in any questions you may have, we can have Duff. I see Ismail has a question. If you want to go ahead and type that in the chat for us, we can answer that for you.
Yeah, I will say if anybody does have questions and they wanted to, they can always on YouTube, put that in the links there. Um, and we'll be glad to, check it and answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can always reach out to me as well with any questions. I'll go ahead and put my email address right in the chat for you guys. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I can connect you guys with Duff. So with that, we will end today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Duff, and we will see you next time. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.